Welcome to the show, everyone. We are here with a special guest. We have Paul Martin here from Money Method, a financial advisory focused on helping students and families with college affordability and the financial aid process across the nation. He is also a graduate of Harvard and MIT and has a certificate from Northwestern University in financial planning. But the most important thing that I love the most is he has a passion for this work that stems from his own experience going through the process as a first-gen college student, me too, where he is currently as the director of the first-gen Harvard alumni and the core founder of the first-gen MIT alumni as well. We are so blessed. He has partnered with us and so many other high schools in the Bay Area, and you will understand why quickly. Let's get right into the questions, especially for our lower classmen, because financial aid starts earlier, not later in this process. So a lot of times we have questions as college counselor. What would be important for like sophomore families to know about college financial aid?
Yeah, really great question. And a key part of that is knowing it earlier. So essentially, sophomore year is a pretty key year because this is the base year for the income that's going to be used when students apply senior year for their evaluation of financial aid. I always say that it's really important for sophomore families to understand their need eligibility because we really want those families and students to be able to understand which colleges are going to be the best financial fit. So need eligibility is a key component. And as we have this new FAFSA, new cycle, families can use calculators. There's a calculator on my website for College Money Method for the FAFSA to calculate what's now called Student Aid Index. So this is a number that the financial aid application will use to determine your ability to pay. And using that number, colleges will compare that to their cost of attendance and see if your student has need eligibility. And the earlier that a family understands their eligibility for need-based aid, again, they can start to think and orient toward colleges that are going to have policies that are generous for them come junior year and senior application, and ultimately their decision-making. Colleges do have need-based aid, but the majority of colleges also are very generous with merit scholarships. And we don't want to ignore that corner of financial aid in terms of bringing affordability in. So I think sophomore families, knowing what your student aid index is really key, and that can help you understand eligibility, but also the expectations around your ability to pay. And as I work with my schools, I do talk to families about key aspects of that they may be able to influence.
If I have a high schooler and a middle schooler, I could do this estimator as different times, right? So I could figure out an idea what that is. What other steps should I do like right now, like today, like some actual steps for financial planning for college?
Important question. So as you use the calculator, you can see there are a couple key components that influence especially dependent students, those students who are considered dependent on their parents, and ultimately their parents will be part of the application process. That's parent income and parent assets. And those inputs that go into that calculator will determine ultimately based on those primary financials what a family's ability to pay is. So looking at that calculator, it can be helpful to use it to build scenarios. What if your income were to change over years? Like how would that change your eligibility? And as well, in terms of the assets, things like checking savings, college savings plans, other ones that are counted, you can also use those calculators to see how changes in your assets would impact that ability to pay. So I think that there are some key aspects that are important. When we're looking at that evaluation, what we do know is that, for example, assets that are in the child's name that are reported will have a higher contribution rate to college than assets in the parent's name. Gratefully, any 529 plan that is counted or reported more specifically in the application is always counted as a parent asset. So that is more favorable. Parent assets, just to give you an idea, the contribution rate is about 5% of those assets reported. For student, the contribution rate is about 20% or up to 25% if the application used is the CSS profile. So knowing some of these rules earlier can be extremely helpful in terms of planning and increasing eligibility over time.
So it's basically kind of like an option of playing things around. Like I love my intuition is another easier way of putting things in. So I guess with this scenario, this is what this will look like. That scenario. So sophomore family have time if they do that planning now. And so what are some common challenges that families have experienced in the college financial planning then?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges, and this is well known and documented across a lot of people who write on college financial planning, is that ultimately, there is a process by which a college determines your ability to pay and ultimately your eligibility and your financial aid package. But there's no exact easy way to get to an exact number. Even when we use these calculators, you had mentioned my intuition. And then the next level is that every college on their financial aid website has their own net price calculator. Even in using these calculators, these are estimates, and the estimates might change. And so I think one of the biggest challenges is, instead of focusing on that sticker price, that overall cost of attendance, figuring out what, to the best of your ability, what you're going to be expected to pay after financial aid. And that's where we do have some tools that I think can be very helpful. And I think another key component is, and I think this is a missed opportunity sometimes for families, is as you're going on campus to visit schools, make an appointment with financial aid. They are there for prospective students and families. And so having a conversation with financial aid earlier about their policies, using their own net price calculator, bringing those results, talking through those, are all ways that families can get a better sense of what they really want to know, which is, college to college, what is my price? And what colleges are going to make most sense come senior year application cycle.
Yeah, so important advice. Also having a blended family, you do get different information everywhere. So start early. So important.